mateys. We be thinking it'd be a good idea to be talking like a pirate for September 19th. For it be International Talk Like a Pirate Day. We also be thinking this be a good video to finish off the Deer Frolics, for the deer are happy to be buccaneers. And that's enough of that. Lao Shi Lawrence McElroy here for Water Tiger School of Tai Chi Chuan. Welcome. Not for nothing, going back to the talking like a pirate. No, going back to talking about talking like a pirate. Miss Miyagi, in the fourth Karate Kid movie, The Next Karate Kid, offers his new student Julie a little advice at one point. Never trust a spiritual leader who doesn't know how to dance. Water Tiger messes with that a little bit. We don't think you be trusting no Tai Chi player that don't talk like a pirate. So anyway, again, maybe a couple of times I'll slip into this, but it is, for us when we're shooting this, about a week away from September 19th of 2023, and September 19th is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Hence the Yin Yar shirt. Embrace the Tao or you walk the plank. This is actually one of my favorite class t-shirts, but I made the mistake one time in a public class of wearing it and for Talk Like a Pirate Day. And so anytime I wore it that it wasn't close to September 19th, well, it's not Talk Like a Pirate Day. Why are you wearing that shirt? So it got shelved. And it's the third time, only the third time, I've worn this t-shirt. The first was a Facebook Live session that was for September 14th, 2020. So just before the first Talk Like a Pirate Day in this series. The second wasn't until 22 on September 2nd, and that was Explosive Essence and Force for that video. We missed 2021. Best we can figure is just the way our shooting schedule was working in 2021. We had a video that was like back in August. We had a video that was the week after International Talk Like a Pirate Day. So we didn't wear the t-shirt that year. So anyway, there you go. So as I mentioned, if you didn't understand the pirates, this is the last of the Deer Frolics, deer jumping. The other four exist in various places on the channel. Some of them are Facebook Live, some of them are the Tai Chi and Qigong training. They're all below me in the information that we post. So we have the 4 links to the 4 other Deer Frolics: deer walking, deer running. We're doing deer jumping now, so out of sequence. Deer kicking, and then deer looking back is the 5th. And that'll leave us only with, I think, one bear. I think it's the bear, or it's either the bear or the monkey. I think it's the monkey now that I'm saying that, because the monkey hiding is the one that's left. And then we'll do our version of the basic animal frolic, which we don't do very basically. We actually save that for last after somebody has gone through all 5 of the animal frolics. So there you go. As you know, if you've been paying attention to this series, every time we do an animal frolic, we do advance and retreat from the 9 temple exercises, because it helps focus on the knees. So we'll talk about that as we get to that warm-up. We'll talk more about what is involved with the Deer Frolic. So as always, you're going to have, a health benefit, just happens to be liver functions, as well as some other things. Nature, spirit of the animal, the movement, sort of underlying theme, if you will, the Qi focus, and that pretty much does it. Oh, and the breath, if I didn't say breath. So I'm going to get a drink, finish my mint. Kind of this afternoon, while we're shooting, having a little yin yang tea moment. So I have iced tea And I have hot tea as well. So let's just start with a little shake, just because we like to do the shake. Shake, rattle, and roll. Maybe I'll just stand here and do this for 40 minutes and we'll cut, and that will be our video today, just shaking. I always threaten that, never do it. So, in advance and retreat, the reason that we always do this one when we do the animal frolics is there are usually, this one's not, deer jumping doesn't quite have the same danger as some of the other frolics, but there's a, we generally turn the upper body while one foot is at the 45 and step to the opposite 45. Here we're literally going to be jumping, so it doesn't have that same sort of pressure. But we still have to be aware of our knees. And advance and retreat does all sorts of things. It works the abdominals, the legs, the ankles. It activates the Xia Dantian, not the acupuncture point, though it does get some activation, but we're talking about the actual Xia Dantian. And the Shan Yu, the essence door in the lower back. So it does function to also activate the belt channel. The organs that are benefited: kidneys, liver, spleen, pancreas, gallbladder, ascending, descending, and is it transverse? I can never remember. Transverse, colon. Rented lips again this afternoon. Imagine that. Laoshi Lawrence McElroy from Water Tiger School shooting a YouTube video and stumbling over his words. Who'da thunk it? So it's a little bit easier if you're a little bit closer together. We want to focus on that separation between the upper body and the lower body. So you're able to turn your torso in such a way that you're not turning your hips. Because when you turn your hips and your feet are parallel like this, I'm going to go this way instead of the other way. My right knee can be kind of dicey. My left knee is in a little bit better shape. So I can show you how that knee is pulling in. That's not good for the knee. Right? So if I have that separation between the upper body and the lower body, as I twist, as I would in, say, deer walking, knees at the 45, toes are out. You get the idea. So that's why we always start with retreat first. And we talk about this in layers. I'm going to lay out all the layers as opposed to talk about them. Well, I'll bring them up again as we're doing it. But normally I start and then start adding the layers. First layer is that separation between the upper body and the lower body. So keeping the knees forward, right? Second layer, maybe adding a breath to actually 4 layers. No, five layers. Second layer, maybe adding a breath pattern. And we change, at Water Tiger School, we change our breath pattern based on whether we are retreating or advancing as the movement, as the main part of the movement. So that's 2. 3 is maybe an image. Retreating from something coming toward me. A force is expanding. It is becoming, I mentioned yang and yin a little while ago. Something is becoming yang. We retreat, we become yin. When we advance, something is moving away, is opening up, is creating space. So we become yang as it becomes yin. That's 3, adding the layer. But if adding the breath and focusing on a particular breath pattern takes away from the physical movement and the proprioception and kinesthesia of keeping the knees in place, don't worry about your breath. If you can breathe on a focused pattern, but thinking about the image distracts you, then don't, at least to start. Eventually, you can probably add these layers. 4th is the deepest. We didn't always consider this, but there came a time that we decided it really is a part of everything that we do, that while we are retreating, while we're moving away from something, while we're retreating, what parts of me are still advancing? As I am advancing, what parts of me are retreating? There'll be a quiz at the end of this video. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so again, a little shake. That separation can start if you do this in parts, kind of like I just laid out layers, that I start to turn my lower, like the lower third of my torso. And when I feel it reach sort of its range of motion, when the spine is done, mine's done earlier than some people's. I have some fusion back there. And I start to feel that hip being pulled. Then I move up to the next layer, next third, if you will, and then the next third. And then whatever is left, I make up with my neck and my face and look that direction. And that's going to put the weight into this foot. So this is the left side of my space. I'm in my left foot. And when I retreat, I'm going to press off on the left foot to fill the right. And ideally, I'm going to inhale there. And then exhale as I turn and look to the other side of the room while keeping my toes and my knees facing the same direction. And shift. 2 separate movements. The turn and the shift are separate. Some people will do this and they'll do both at the same time. We want the turn and then the shift. The exhale and then the inhale. 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 Something after I exhale and turn is moving toward me. It's expanding. I'm compressing. Turning. Something's coming toward me from this side. I am retreating. Turning. Coming toward me. I am retreating. Coming toward me. I am retreating. But parts of me, the simplest notion of what's advancing is as I'm shifting back, I'm turned this direction. My right shoulder, turning to face the left, is turning forward. My left leg, pressing down, is moving in the direction of what is coming toward me. So it is advancing as I'm compressing into this leg, as I'm retreating into this leg. So that's one of the ways. That's a very broad way of looking at finding where you're advancing while you're retreating. Turn and shift and turn and shift and turn and shift. Not really counting. I'm just going for a little while. Turn and shift. Turn and shift. Turn and shift. And I think just one more turn and one more shift. Now I'm going to hold and I'm going to continue looking to this side of my space. So now I'm going to move in the direction in which I am facing. Before we moved away from the direction we were facing. Again, toes and knees, same direction. Now I might reverse my breath pattern with the reverse of the image. Something's moving away. It's becoming yin. I'm becoming yang. So I might exhale on my shift forward and inhale on the transition to go the other direction. Exhale and inhale. Exhale and inhale. Exhale, and that image, again, something is shrinking, something is retreating, something is becoming yin. I'm moving into that opening. Shift and turn. Again, 2 separate things. Shift and then turn. Shift and then turn. I like just leaving the arms hanging because then I get that idea. Also sort of a little bit of, if you will, body part awareness is as these legs are working, as the abdominals are working, as the spine is being twisted, as the shoulders are moving, am I able to allow the arms to be completely flaccid? And simply, yes, I use the S word, swing and move hanging off the shoulders. Turn and shift. Maybe an inhale and follow. Maybe an inhale and the same thing. Where am I retreating as I'm advancing? And if we follow that same very basic idea of advancing and retreating, I have my right shoulder, because I'm turned to face the right side of the space, turning back. It is retreating. I have the left leg pressing down in the opposite direction of the direction I have moved. It is retreating, so I may advance. Turn and shift. Just one more pair. Last to the first side. redivide the weight equally between the 2 feet as you turn forward. And there you go. Advance and retreat. Water tiger school style. Everybody does this stuff differently. I'm going to get another drink. So the deer, I mentioned, helps with, its primary therapeutic quality is liver function. By the way, when it comes to the therapeutic quality, the other things that we really need to keep in mind as we're playing, they're the Buddhist aspects of what it is that we do with our approach to the 5 Animal Frolics. It's just good to know, what the therapeutic qualities are. It can also help with emotional and mental challenges. It's calming. It's like the crane in that regard. It helps to strengthen the bones and the tendons and reduces weaknesses and stagnation that can build up in folks as they grow older, says the man with the gray hair. And that's the basic therapeutic qualities. The nature of the deer, believe it or not, this kind of goes against, well, if you've seen the other Deer Frolics, you already know this, calm and alert. We tend to think of a deer and think timidity, but that is not what that quality, the nature of the deer is in the Animal Frolics. The spirit is supple with no limits. I always think that what I picture here when I talk about a deer being both supple and without limits is you see a deer standing on one side of it, like, just a barbed wire fence or maybe even a little taller fence, chain link fence or something. And then suddenly, you blink and it's on the other side. Just boop, and it's there. It's a physical attribute, but that's kind of what I think about when I think about the spirit of the animal. The movement. Now, physically, before we talk about the movement, talk about the hands. The hands in the Deer Frolic represents the deer's antlers. So what we do, how antlers point in all sorts of different directions. It's not just relaxed hands. It's not making claws, but I sort of have the fingers moving in different ways in the active moments. In deer jumping, it's a jabbing motion. And then they relax. And while they're at the sides, they're going to be relaxed. There's a feeling as we move. Again, the main movement thread is that we're stretching as we move. It should be light and relaxed with a relaxed torso. The Qi is both complicated, Qi focus is both complicated and simple. And it's on small circulation. So it's on the yin conception vessel, the renmei, and the yang governing vessel, the dumei. I always get those pronunciations wrong, right? So for us, and different people have different views as to where the connecting points of the yin conception vessel are and the yang governing vessel. And it's just with a focus on the flow of the small circulation with the mind on the connection point. Now, again, some people, as I said, will have the connection point that's from the yin conception vessel. Most people have the same connection point between the yang governing vessel and the face and the yin conception vessel, and that's the roof of the mouth. It's the tongue goes up to touch the roof of the mouth. And the yin conception vessel starts and goes down. And then some people will put it at the hu yin, the bottom of the C, the perineum. Other people will put that point on the Ming Men. Some will put it a little bit lower, sort of around the anal cleft, so right where the cheeks come into the lower back. We put that focus, we consider the focus at that point, right? It's not the Ming Men, it's not the Hu Yin, it's about halfway in between. So just at the very base of the lower back. That's our thought at Water Tiger School. But again, mind on that connection point, the idea of the flow through the yin conception vessel. And that's that aspect. The breath is in through the nose. It's a soft inhalation in through the nose, and an exhalation. I don't know if you can hear that. Sound of the wind. A nice gentle breeze. We're not talking Hurricane Lee or anything. Just a nice soft exhale. It'll be a little bit more vigorous for deer jumping because the deer is jumping. That's the other thing to consider with the breath of the deer. And that is, in most of the animal frolics, when we step or move forward, it's on an inhalation. So like in deer walking, oops, I did that through my mouth. The inhale, and I switch to the heel. And it's an exhale on that, on what's next. But here, we're going to. So the exhalation is on the movement forward, and I just did that movement, right? And again, it's 45 to 45, so we're going to be moving like this. But there is a jump, right? And again, you have the hands as antlers starting at the side, and we go from 45 to 45. There is a pause in both the movement and the breath at both junctures. So when I leap, there's a hold. Oops, that's an inhale. Sorry. Kind of a little whistle there. Shouldn't be. And a little pause, and then the next. Also need to remind you, if you've been here before, the closing movement. The closing movement will be reminiscent to those who are familiar with Water Tiger School because it looks like Pour Chi through the Bok Wei from our 10-piece Tai Chi Qigong breathing set. So from the primary stationary set of Tai Chi Qigong. And what happens when you finish your pass, when you balance your sides, then you turn in the direction you've been moving. Palms up, palms down. And a little rebound pulls the hands into the dantian. And that's the closing. Also, I should mention, as I always do, normally this approach to the animal frolics does things in a circular pattern. However, it's much easier to instruct and to learn in a linear fashion. So that's what we do at Water Tiger School. That's what we'll do this afternoon as we're shooting the video. You may be watching this at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Right, so again, 45 to 45, I'm going to start my weight on my right foot, somewhere around the 45. Again, if you are more comfortable, if you have knee and ankle and hip issues that make the 45 difficult, then by all means, shorten up your angle some. Be careful of your leap, your jump. Something that I always do. I always end up calling this deer leaping, and it's deer jumping. I think I've pretty much resolved that. I always think of somebody who spins records. Deer jumping. He's a DJ. Wow, a pirate and a DJ. So again, relaxed, but palms are back on the hands, and the arms are hanging. And the hands, as you jump and that exhale, they're going to come up side by side at the center line, kind of look like a little bunny rabbit, and then thrust out and down and hold. And hold. And hold. And then inhale. And hold. And exhale. And hold. And inhale. Now as you exhale and hold, I'm holding the hands in that active position, sort of pointing this way, that way, subtly. It's not overly dramatic. And then inhale down. And just one more before I crash into camera stand. And hold. In through the nose, nice soft inhalation. More or less, it's the same type of breath, turning in the direction I've been moving, as was the crane in the crane frolics. And there you go, quick introduction to deer jumping. We're going to go that direction again, and then probably a direction facing away from you. We may call it a day. That's the, well, at this point, it's not hot tea, but it's not iced tea. So, you know, the trick here is not to get too forceful with the breath. So, not moving super fast. Not a big jerk, but, well, some people say I'm a big jerk. But, and then down. So again, more or less 45 to 45. No set number of repetitions. Of course, when you walk the circle, you can walk a circle for as long as you need to. You're walking in a linear space, you know, unless you can walk through walls, you will eventually have to stop. So, oh, I didn't change the swords. Thanks, guys. Nobody caught that. We usually have the blade of the water tiger back here instead of the practice blade. Blade of a water tiger. If you haven't seen me introduce it, I can't remember which video that is. Was a sword that a student had made for me, forged in China. It's got a Damascus style finish to it. 6 tigers on the sword itself, and the scabbard representing the 6 directions of force. Anyway, it's a little bit nicer sword than that, and it's a live blade. Not too sharp, but anyway, I digress. I mentioned earlier, you know, the Buddhist qualities include, you know, the nature and the spirit. We need to keep those in mind. The nature, calm and alert. The spirit, supple without limit. The physical movements, stretching, relaxed. The hand position, the Qi visualization of that flow in the small circulation, in the Ren and the Dume, with the focus on the connection point, lower back or Mingmen, or, you know, if you put your connection point in your lineage differently than ours, then by all means do that. Anyway, those are all Taoist qualities. The breath is a Taoist quality, or Buddhist quality. The Taoist quality is, again, sorry, run of the lips. The Taoist quality is becoming the animal. So I'm not, as I usually refer to Stanislavski, Konstantin Stanislavski, acting instructor. What would I do were I the character in these given circumstances? Not what would I do if I were a deer? No, that's not it. It is, I am the deer. So, just vibrated. All right. Again, a pass this way, pass back, and we'll call it a video. Again, palms back. I'm turning my palms in for some reason. Find an exhale so you can inhale, and then exhale. Pause. And inhale, soft inhalation in through the nose, and pause. Notice all the weight's really on my left foot now. My right foot's just resting on the ball of the foot. If I need to put some weight there to stay standing, that's okay. And then exhale, and pause. And now most, if not all of my weight is really on my right foot. My left foot is resting on the ball of the foot. last pair. Turn. Palms up, palms down. I sink a little bit here. So I'm going to move back so you can see fully. I sink a little bit so I can raise back up, and that raise back up pulls the hands to the acupuncture point for the Xie Dantian. So I'll move away from the camera so you get that point of view. Again, a little shake. Just like that. Shake, rattle, and roll. I think I'm going to get another drink before we do this last pass. The Deer Frolics. Again, the 5 animals, I should mention, if you haven't seen any of these videos before, for the approach that we use for the 5 Animal Frolics: crane, monkey, tiger, bear, and deer. And again, I think monkey hiding is our last one. Could be wrong. I looked, but it's not on my cue cards. So again, settling the weight into my right foot, finding my inner deer, finding an exhalation so I can inhale in preparation and pause, and then my exhale and pause. Soft inhalation in through the nose and pause. Sound of the wind and pause. Soft inhalation in through the nose. Just again imagining that orbit going on. This will have to be the last one. Turning in the direction I've been moving. Something I didn't mention when I was talking about the circle walk is that we are responsible as players of the Animal Frolics to be aware of our position in the community of the walk. What I mean by that is you want to make sure that you're moving in such a way that does not cause a traffic pileup. You're either not rear-ending somebody or you're not setting yourself up to get rear-ended. So you're moving at a community distance and pace and that sort of thing. So adjustments do have to be made. And deer jumping. See, I shouldn't have told you that I had fixed my deer leaping, deer jumping issue. Deer jumping, relatively easy to fix because all I have to do, all I have to do is make that jump more to the side than forward. Or for that matter, if I had to, if I'm coming up on somebody's rear bumper, I can jump. I don't know if that one really worked. It would be jumping backwards. So, you can play with the distance. If you are not covering ground like everybody else is, then a few bigger leaps, covering more space with a little bit more vigor in your leap, in your jump. That's 2 in a row. And there you go. Deer jumping from the 5 Animal Frolics. And it's the last of the deer. Again, below in the information are the hyperlinks to take you to the other Deer Frolics video on the channel, regardless of what playlist of which they are a part. We also, I need to admit, we're a little late on this. It was really due to be shot last week, but the week kind of got away from us. So here we are very early in the next week, getting it shot and getting it on the channel for you. So we'll be here again a little bit sooner than we normally are because we want to keep the same rotation and just pretend like we did the shoot and the upload last week. And we'll be back to a Tai Chi topic. We have different things from which we can choose, and we really haven't thought that far in advance yet. So it'll be a surprise for everybody. Yay! And don't forget, September 19th, be talking like a pirate, or you be a scallywag, and you need to walk the plank. Careful out there. It's getting wet again. So take care, be safe, and you'll see me next time.